everyone. Thank you, Diana, for the intro. That was all Diana's work. Welcome to the Romantic Book Club. We're so happy you're here today. We're with Liana De la Rosa, and we can't wait to talk about her book. Just a few housekeeping things. We are streaming live into Jennie's Page Turners, Isn't It Romantic Book Club page, YouTube, Instagram, and then the live feed will be posted onto our Facebook group. Correct? I think as soon as it's
and Jennie Marts books.
I thought I said, Jennie Marts books. I'm sorry. Yes. So anyway, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us today. My name is Sharon Wray. I write romantic suspense and contemporary romance. Here's a bunch of books. Think like Dan Brown type mysteries meet sexy green berets and all of that fun stuff. I also write Christmas books. I've got a bunch out for sale right now, but I don't have them with me because I'm just not that prepared. So I'm going to turn it over to Jennie.
Hi, everybody. I am Jennie Marts. If you don't know me, why the heck not? Let's get together and let's meet each other. But if you don't know me, I write small town stories with humor and heart and occasionally a dead body. So my motto is you can never have enough friends, books, or shoes. So, and my closets attest to that. My stories, I write hot cowboys. If you're looking for a new Christmas book, getting in the Christmas spirit, A Cowboy for Christmas is a fun Christmas book. My newest series that's out is the Lassiter Ranch series, which is a group of cowboys, Ford, Dodge, and Chevy, whose mother named them after the trucks that their deadbeat dads drove away from them in. This is one of my favorite covers. So the Second Chance for a Cowboy is out now. I mean, these are all four out now.
Can you show up the newest cover?
The newest one is this one, Second Chance with a Cowboy. And this book, Save the Date for a Cowboy, I'll put the link in the chat. If you sign up for my newsletter, you get this book for free. I also write cozy mysteries, and I write a beekeeping series, which I forgot to bring that book over. And I write the Page Turners, which is a group of women in a book club. And here's my fun. Halloween was yesterday, but I still have a Halloween book for free. So Halloween Hookup is free right now. And I made this little special edition. It's a fun little novella, but I made this little special edition with illustrations in it. So it's kind of a little fun extra if you like your little illustrations in your book. So Halloween Hookup right now is free. So now that's all I have to say about me. Hi, Diana.
Hi. She didn't mention that she was out partying late last night and just got in. So
I went to Hamilton last night with a friend, so that was really fun.
Right.
So I'm in the mood for like revolutionary, not gonna waste my shot.
Love it. I love that musical. I saw it on Disney. It's great. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Muñoz Stewart. I write romantic suspense for the strong of heart. My latest book, It's All in the Hips, is out now. And the sequel to Broken Promises. Oh, thank you. The sequel to Broken Promises, Fatal Promises, and I don't have the cover here, is out December 31st, 2024. So I'm super excited about that.
I love the cover of that one. I love the cover.
That's a fun cover. I really like it too. I'm sorry I don't have the cover here.
Oh, do you have
you do?
Oh, I love it.
Aw. Yay. I love it. Thank you.
You know what? I have it because I just got your newsletter.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And I do want to say Abbie's not with us today. Abbie is actually on in the
that's right.
with her husband, having a wonderful time. So we wish her well.
Yeah, and I don't even think this is streaming into her group. I just looked up there. I don't even think for some reason maybe something happened with the yeah, that's too bad. We'll miss her, but she's having fun with her husband. And we're super excited to be talking about Isabella and the Rogue with Liana De la Rosa. Liana De la Rosa is a USA Today best-selling historical romance author who writes stories set in the late Regency and Victorian eras. Her new release, Isabella and the Rogue, is the second book in her Latinx Victorian era series, The Luna Sisters, and I loved this story. I love the first book too. So.
I love
hello.
Hi.
This
so glad to be
cover
here.
is to die for. I love this cover so much.
I've been blessed by the cover gods for this
Yes.
series. They are stunning. This is, oh, let me turn this way. That's the cover for the first book. And I'm sitting on the cover for the third book for the youngest sister, just waiting until I get the go ahead to share it. And I think it might be my favorite, maybe.
Really?
Ooh.
No. So exciting.
I love them. I love them all,
Exciting.
but I really do like the third cover. So maybe because it's new.
It's so great
you
when
know?
you like the cover.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
Did you have any say in the cover at all?
I do. Actually, I've been very blessed that they've come to me every time and they're like, Liana, what do you want for this cover? And I tell them what I'm thinking and they recreate it as they did. Actually, both of these covers have been my idea. Thankfully for the third cover, my editor had a fantastic idea I didn't even consider. And when she shared it with me, I was like, okay, yes, that's obviously has to be it. Whatever I had come up with was nonsense. This is much better. So yeah, they've been very receptive to like all my ideas.
Well, I love the fact she's in a gold dress. Yeah. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So it feels very like Beauty and the Beast.
Very much so. Yeah, definitly. Got
Mm-hmm.
those vibes.
I love it.
She was the first shy spy I've ever seen.
Yes.
And she was a terrible spy. She was not a very good spy.
I'm sorry. If I'm looking down, I'm checking the phone to make sure that we're live everywhere. So
no worries.
Oh, no problem. So I had to ask you, why did you choose to write about three sisters?
That is a great question. So when I was initially brainstorming the series, I actually had the Luna sisters were cousins, and I quickly realized that I wanted them to have more of a familial connection. I wanted them to be in a position where they had to depend upon each other. You know, they had just fled their homeland, at the threat of war. And they are in a new land where they don't know anybody really but each other. And I wanted them to have to depend upon each other. And to make it more difficult, in the first book, in Ana Maria and the Fox, you find out that they were not very close, that the three sisters were pitted against each other by their father. And he really made sure that they were not close because he had like more control over them. He manipulated them. It was easier to manipulate them if they were kind of at odds with each other. So suddenly they're fleeing their home ahead of an advancing army. They're in a new place where they, don't really know anybody but their uncle, who they've never met before until they arrive in London. And they don't really know each other that well. So it just made more sense to me for them to be sisters. Yeah. And I like writing about sisters and close family bonds like that. So it was an excuse to kind of explore those dynamics in the book.
Yeah, those relationships. Do you have sisters or?
I do. I have a younger sister and also a younger brother. Lucky him, he is the middle child sandwich between the two of us. But yes, and I'm very close with them. So definitely some of the like the dynamics between the siblings, I took from my own life.
Well,
that's awesome.
I love the added history. So many of us, we've all read so many Regency romances, right? And Regency was not a very long period, even Victorian was, of course, much longer. But I just love having the added history of another part of the world that was going on at the same time.
Yes, this period in time. Yeah, this period in time is like so. There was so much to I guess take inspiration from. And when I talked about in the author notes, I can't remember, but I was very much looking at immigration records. I was searching for ideas for what I could write about. I knew that I wanted to feature Latina characters, but I wasn't sure who or how or what. Like, I didn't know. So I was searching immigration records for another side character or a character I was writing in another project. And I came across records of people immigrating from Mexico to Europe. And I was like, why would people be moving from Mexico to Europe? Like, what could have been happening at this time? And I kind of started like playing around, searching, what I knew of the time and keywords. And I came across the second French occupation of Mexico. And I was like, well, oh my God, what can I do at this time period? Because I think aside from people knowing Cinco de Mayo, not a lot of people know about the occupation. And a lot of people don't know that Cinco de Mayo is tied to the French occupation. So I was really excited to kind of explore that time period. The second French occupation of Mexico was happening at the exact same time as the Civil War. Mexico was the US's greatest or biggest ally, which is quite funny because the Mexican-American War was fought not terribly long before the Civil War and the French occupation. So they quickly became allies, but the U.S. was, they were distracted. They had their own issues that they were dealing with. And so they couldn't aid Mexico in their fight against Napoleon III and his troops. And at the first Battle of Puebla sits between Veracruz and Mexico City. So when the French army came, they would have to go through Puebla to get to Mexico City. The vastly outnumbered Mexican army was able to hold off the French at the first Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862, which we celebrate here in the United States as Cinco de Mayo. But what a lot of people don't know is the French came back a year later and won, which paved the way for the start of the Second French Empire. And so my series, The Luna Sisters, is set around this time. The sisters flee in the first book to London, where their uncle is an ambassador. They flee after the Second Battle of Puebla, when the French army is marching towards Mexico City. Their father is a advisor, like a very close friend and top advisor to Benito Juarez, who was the democratically elected president of Mexico at this time. He was the first indigenous president of Mexico, and because of his close association, their father's close association with the president, they were worried that the sisters would be used as like pawns, right? That they would be able to exert power over their father. So the girls were sent away to Europe with like family jewels, treasures, all that stuff to keep safe. And so that's how the series starts, with the three sisters in London, fish out of water, trying to make it through the cutthroat British social season. So that's kind of how it started. Just really my desire to like write a different perspective on what was happening in the world, and how basically brown and Black people have been all, in places all over Europe, and, their stories just don't always focus on them. And I wanted to take some time to do that.
No, I love
that. Was so refreshing. Yeah.
I'd been to Veracruz. I'd heard of this just from traveling in Mexico many, many years ago. But you forget, right? Like you don't really, you go to the places and you see the battle. But I love how you brought it all to life and wove it in such a way that there was so much going on in the world, across the entire world. Like you said, the American Civil War, all this stuff going on in France, and then Spain had its own thing going on. So much turmoil. And then right before the Industrial Revolution, I mean, I thought that was really, you didn't go into that, but I was thinking that we're getting ready to go into that. And I just thought, it was really, I thought it was really fascinating.
Oh, I'm so glad. I know that it's kind of hard to walk that line between adding historical detail, right? But still making it a romance. And it was harder in the first book, in Ana Maria and the Fox, because it's setting up the whole series, right? And you're really introducing the major players. Plus, Ana Maria is the eldest daughter. I'm an eldest daughter, so I'm guilty of all this. She's trying to caretake her sisters. They're figuring things out. And then her love interest is a member of Parliament. His name is Gideon Fox, the fox in the title, and he's a member of Parliament. So history and politics is going to play a bigger role in their books, because those are what's important to them. It's a part of their world. Or when I got to write Isabel, where is she? Isabel, she's the middle sister. She's, I I included this in the author's note. She kind of reminded me of like a Jan Brady character. Just kind of awkward, more reserved, like wanting to stand out, but finding it hard to do so because she has this charming older sister and this beautiful younger sister. And she's just like, hey, I'm here too. And so when I started to write her book, I knew what would happen, but I hadn't really spent a whole lot of time in her head. So when I actually got to start writing her, I fell in love with her. She's so much more than I initially gave her credit for. And she just wanted to help her country. And she was given this task to snoop for secrets amongst the ton so she could send it back to Mexico so they could use it to blackmail, support. They were not above, they wanted help. And so they were not above using whatever means were available to them to get it. And Isabel is, snooping around doing this stuff, and she's doing it terribly. She is not very good at it. But I kind of like that, because why would she be good at it, right? She hadn't had any training. She had to teach herself everything on her own. So she's doing the best that she can. And I love that she thinks she's invisible. But one person...
I love that. I just think she's a great spy.
So I'm a middle of 3 original daughters. Like, we have a big blended family, but there's 3 original, and I'm the middle. Okay. And no one has ever accused me of being a wallflower.
I love that. I love that. You're like, not me.
Spit. But I really loved that the way that you blended so much of the history in, so we learned stuff, but yet you still, you put her as part of the history in The Spy. You put her family in peril because of what was happening. So it really helped invest us in the story of what was happening. And we learned some of the history through somebody that was living it instead of just sharing historical facts. I thought you did a really great job with that, because I didn't really know that much about it either, but I love that she is this wallflower who thinks that she is invisible and not important, and yet she takes on a job that is so important and that could make such a difference by spying. And so I think she does have a little of that spunky middle child in her.
Oh, for sure. I think it comes out a lot when she's standing up to Sirius, who's her love interest. I think that she maybe because she doesn't want to impress him. She's not trying to impress him. She's just trying to do what she feels she has to do. And so when he's trying to help her and protect her, she's like, I don't need your protection. Who do you think you are to me? I can do this. Even if she doesn't know that she can do it, she's not going to tell him that, right? I think a lot of her, that steel in her spine, really comes out in their interactions. And I think there's a point too, she mentions in the book where she hides behind her younger sister's skirt, because her younger sister, Gabby, is the firebrand, right? She's the quick tempered one. She's the defender of the family. And Isabel's content to let her be that, right? But when she's not with Gabby, she has to stand up for herself, and she gets more and more confidence to do that. And I think that her interactions with Sirius initially show her doing that, and then she learns to do it all by herself, right? And I don't know. Of all the characters I've ever written, I have a real softness for Isabel. I just think that she's wonderful.
Well, she finds her voice during the story, and that's part of it. You see her, she's a little bit shy, and then by the end, she's just making bold choices for herself,
And I really and that was one of the things. So I don't know about your guys' writing process, but mine is, I'm a plantser. So I will write a synopsis. I have a general outline of what happens. And if I have seen ideas, I'll include them. But if I know too much about the book, I lose interest, and I don't want to write it because I already know what's going to happen. So I have to discover it as I go. And with Isabel's book, I knew like from the start of the series, how it would end. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I knew that it was going to happen that way, because for her, it was important for me that she get that thing. Like, that's what she wanted. That's what she was working for. And I didn't want her to sacrifice that for any man. Right. It was important that she end there in that place.
It was very satisfying.
I love it. I'm so glad that's
I know.
Yeah. I am. I'm so glad, because I remember and I was thinking the whole book, like, is she going to get that thing? Like, is that going to happen? Because that thing that happens is not an easy physical thing to get.
No. And she had to be with a love interest where that was plausible, right? Where, because it wouldn't have worked if he was the firstborn, right?
Right.
But because of who he was, it worked. I feel like I'm just skating around what happens.
That's okay.
But I think
give it away for anybody who hasn't read it yet.
Yeah, it was very important for me that it ended the way it did, because Isabel deserved that, and she wanted that, and I was gonna make it happen no matter what. So I'm really glad that you like that.
Well, my favorite scene was when she finally admits what she's doing, and that she's a spy, and she announces it very, like, importantly, like, I'm doing this, and he says to her, "You're not, in a way, like, you're not very good." Like, she's like, and I felt like in the reading of it, in the subtext, that she was thinking, I am good, and he's like, I need to do this. I'm very good at this. Years of training.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was so charming. Why wouldn't she be good? Because she thought she was good.
Yeah, she can do this.
And I felt like that's when he really saw her. Like, there's a woman who doesn't care that most people in the world go through years and years and years of training to become some kind of spy. And he meets this young woman who just decides she is, and so she is.
Yeah, she's gonna do it, right? And he's certainly, she's certainly not gonna let him tell her.
No, that was
no.
Scene. I think it was one of my favorite scenes in the book.
Oh, thanks.
Although I love that she thought she was invisible.
Did we lose Jennie?
I'm not hearing her. Is anybody else hearing her?
He saw her even before
good.
she
I
realized.
thought it was just me. Okay.
Jennie, sorry, you froze. What did you say?
No, I don't know how everyone froze at the same time. Except
because you're
holding still.
Yeah, it's you. It's you.
It's me. I'm freezing.
Yeah, you keep freezing.
Usually it's me, so I'm saying it's you.
Oh, and I thought it was you guys freezing.
No. It's definitely you. Do you want to try and go out and come back in?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So I wanted to get some people who are watching a chance to ask questions. And Anita wants to know, do you have a favorite place to write?
I do not. So I write at the kitchen table out of necessity. I used to have like a writing area. We have a small den off of our bedroom, and that was like my writing room and my bookshelves with all my books, and it was cozy, and I had a little table or a little sofa where I would like brainstorm and then write, and then the pandemic hit, and my husband started working from home, so he took over my book space, which I laugh about because these sit behind the area where he works. So whenever he has to do like a video, like one of these, he has to take them down or put up one of those, because then his wife's covers are in the back of his videos. So out of necessity, I write at the kitchen table, and I've written many books there now, and it's not ideal, but I need to sit somewhere with like a laptop on a desk or like a table and write. It's I can revise with a laptop in my lap, but I cannot write new words that way. And our brain's weird, like our writer brains, like whatever works.
Yes.
Like I don't really enjoy the drafting process. I find blank pages intimidating. And so I have to like write on a sprint. And so sitting properly at a desk like forces my brain into some weird mode where it gets the words on the page. So yeah, the kitchen table is where you will usually find me working.
Anita wants to know, will you ever get your space back?
God. Okay, I will say I've been pushing for us to get like a she shed. We have space by our pool in the backyard. And as soon as I told my husband, oh, we can put it by the pool, then it turned into, oh, it could be a pool house and your office. And every time he says it, I'm like, no, it is my office. That's by the pool.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to let my pool space get taken or my writing space get taken over again. So ideally, that's what we want to do, but we don't have immediate plans for it to happen. So one day it will. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Leisha wants to know, who was your most difficult character to write about and why was that?
That is a great question. My most difficult character. So the love interest in Anna Maria and the Fox, his name is Gideon Fox. That man drove me crazy. I struggled so hard writing his POV. But it's because I think I was supposed to. He is a very uptight, reserved character. And so even just writing, trying to be in his head was difficult for me. And I went through like 4 rounds of revisions with my editor trying to like nail him because I just kept like, I just didn't feel like I was getting there. And I almost think that was the point because that was just the kind of person that he is. He's intensely private, intensely reserved. I tried to get these 2 idiots to kiss way sooner in the book and it just did not work. It did not work. It felt awkward and forced because it was, because he was just the most like honorable, upright like person I've ever written. And there was a lot of reason for that. And once I kind of grasped why that was, then it became a little bit easier to kind of step into his shoes. But yeah, definitely Mr. Gideon Fox right here. He did a number. He did a number on me.
Now,
Well, and that's so hard too. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, do you read a lot? It's really hard, I feel like, to write historical and get all the pieces correct. And there were a couple of things that you mentioned that I was like, I don't even know what that is. I had to go look up what it was. But you did a really good job with that. So do you read historical or did you just love historical?
Historicals were my gateway into romance. It was the first thing, like the first subgenre I remember reading back when I was a teenager and maybe shouldn't have been reading those sort of books. And then after I had my second child, I rediscovered romance again. And this time I had a Kindle. And so suddenly I could like, buy 99-cent Kindle books or, I think it was even before Kindle Unlimited was like a subscription thing. So most of those early books that I was like breezing through were like Scottish historicals. And I was probably reading 1 a day. I was a tired mom. I had just started to stay home with my kids. I didn't realize it until probably years later that I had PPD, and reading romances was my escape. And it was historical romances that I read. And when I was at an undergrad, history was one of my was one of my majors. So it's always like, I've always appreciated the blend of like history and literature. So when I started to think about writing my own book, it was like a no-brainer that I was going to write a historical. It just made sense, which is funny because now the projects I'm working on now are contemporaries and I have to check myself with how I write. Like there's a certain cadence, I think, to like dialogue and historicals or like certain words you use. And I have to like take myself out of that. The amount of times I've had to like rewrite dialogue because I'm like, no one in the 21st century talks like that. So, but yeah, that's how I started with historicals because that's how I came into the genre. And frankly, it'll always be my first love. I wish the historical market was more robust right now because I have so many ideas and I would keep writing them, but
as a
I
reader,
would think with Bridgerton, I would think with the popularity of Bridgerton, it would be bigger than it is.
The Bridgerton books got a boost, but
not
that's
the
it.
rest of the genre. Yeah, which I don't really understand, but
We don't either. We don't either.
I love reading it. I could never write it, but I love reading it. It was one of my gateway drugs. Rosemary Rogers and Love's Tender Fury by Jennie. I can't remember her last name. Oh my gosh! And all of those.
Yeah, some of the there's so many wonderful historical romance authors writing right now, and it makes me sad that their books aren't bigger because my goodness, they're like exquisite. They're just so great. But
I know what you mean about that
So it has
dialogue.
to be.
I remember binging Downton Abbey, and you watch Downton Abbey a whole bunch, and then all of a sudden you go back to writing and you start like giving your characters like an English accent.
Exactly, like their word choices.
Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
And I would think there is so many restrictions when I think about the historical. I mean, there's so many societal restrictions that you have to follow, and it must be almost freeing to write a contemporary.
You know, yes. It can be. Yeah, it can be. I will say, I tried my hand at writing a romantasy, and it did not go well because I think I had too much freedom. And I'm so used to writing within a box, right? These, like you said, these societal restrictions, like the norms of the time, like I know them. And suddenly there was no box and I could do whatever I wanted. And it overwhelmed me because I was like, well, what do you mean I could my agent's like, Liana, just, brainstorm, these mythical creatures. And I'm like, but I don't want to. I don't want to brainstorm that. But it was like so many decisions had to be made to build the world, right? That I was overwhelmed by it. And maybe if I tried it again in like, I don't know, 5 years, like it'll be easier because I've sort of weaned myself off of the training wheels per se that writing historical has given me. But at least right now, just wading into contemporary waters has been a little bit safer for me. Hasn't been as bumpy of a ride.
So who is your favorite historical author?
That is a really good question. I don't know that I could choose just one.
Okay.
Top 5.
Oh, okay. I might be able to do that one, maybe. Julianne Long. I don't know if you've ever read any books by Julianne Long. Oh my God. She's like, talk about the most stunning, gorgeous prose. When you're reading something really like beautiful and you read a line and you like have to put your Kindle down or your book down and just be like, oh my God, that was stunning. That countless times reading her books, I have to just be like, I love it. And also, how does she do that? That bitch. That's how I feel reading her book. Sorry if I shouldn't have gotten
I do that with Barbara Samuel. Sometimes I'm like reading Barbara Samuel's books and I get to a part and I'm like, I'm not even worthy of being a writer.
Exactly.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't read historicals when I'm drafting, because it takes me out. It takes me out of my head game. I'm like, so I can't do that. But Julianne Long, she is known for her Pennyroyal Green series, which has like 8 books or something. It's wonderful. And her Palace of Rogues series is what she's writing right now. She's masterful. She's amazing. I really love Sarah MacLean, who is big in historical romance, and she's actually coming out with her first commercial fiction book this coming summer.
Oh, fun.
She's talk about like she writes badass women, right?
Mhm.
They might be historical women, but they're still amazing, and very strong. And I love her books. I really love Mary Blau. I never know how to say Baylog. Okay, see, I never know how to say her name. Mary Baylog. She writes warm hugs of books. Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm going to read her book and just like sink into it. And a lot of them are like low conflict. You would say low conflict, but so often like my heart's racing and like I don't know, like she just writes the emotion of it.
Very emotional. Yes.
Oh, so
They bring it out by the time you're done.
right?
There's
Yes.
not a lot of, yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of external plot
Mhm.
story, but it doesn't need it because you're
No, it doesn't. She has her book Only a Kiss. I still remember because I ugly cried through like a whole like chunk of that book. And it was all like you said, like a lot of it was very little like external plot. It's all like internal, and she's so good at it. So I think that's 3 I've named. Oh gosh, 2 more. Cat Sebastian.
What a great compliment to have someone say your book is like a warm hug. That's
They are. I know what I'm gonna get when I open a Mary Baylog
or Baylo.
Baylog.
Both ways.
You know what you're gonna get, and that's like she has a formula that just works. Like it's perfect. I also really like Cat Sebastian. She writes queer historicals, and she writes the snappiest, wittiest dialogue. I laugh out loud. I don't think she's trying to be funny. She's just, her characters are so witty, and I just like love to sink into them. Okay, one more, right? Oh God, this is hard.
Catherine Ash, that one?
I'm sorry?
Did you mention Catherine Ash? Who said that?
I didn't, but I do like Catherine Ash. I know. Oh, I do like her, and I'm sad that she hasn't been writing historicals lately. I know she's like a professor at Duke University, so she's busy with like her day job. But I did really love.
I loved her books. Yeah,
she was really great. Sorry, I'm trying to think of a 5th one.
Yeah, that's okay.
No,
I think that was great.
We'll let you off the hook. Yeah.
What do you read when you're writing? Like, what other genres do you read?
When I'm writing?
Yeah.
When I'm writing, I tend not to read, which is really sad because I love to read. But I'm also a mood reader. And I think to read while I'm drafting is like a really hard, it just, my brain can't focus on it. So I tend to either listen to podcasts. I listen to like a lot of true crime podcasts. So I have to do like something totally different. So I'll listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, or I'm going to reveal how nerdy I am. I will watch like YouTube videos of whatever niche subject I've hyperfixated on at the moment. Sometimes I watch videos about mountain climbers because I think they're fascinating. And sometimes I have watched videos about people searching underwater shipwrecks for like treasure or whatever. I could go on and on, like weird niche videos where I can put them on and like listen while I do mom duties or stuff around the house or whatever. I just need to disassociate from whatever my current project is, so that when I am focused on it, it's just that. And I'm not thinking about this beautiful line I read in someone else's book. So
last year during Nano, there was a list going around of all of the videos to watch, like that kind of thing, and they were all about cleaning out your closets and folding sheets. Silent Asian, like Japanese and Korean videos.
Oh yeah.
I love those. And they're silent and they're cooking and they're doing things and they're eating a muffin. But there's only a little bit of music. There's no even voiceover, but everything's perfect.
Yes.
Control, because there is no control. Right?
Exactly. What I've been doing lately is puzzles, putting together puzzles with my husband. We'll just put on music and start working on a puzzle. And it's been the best way to just get off the internet for a while and just hang out with each other. Well, we don't, we've been married long enough where we don't sometimes just being in the same room with each other is just great, right? We just work side by side with each other and put together a puzzle. And it's such a like great way to relax my brain, especially because I think that's something that a lot of us have to deal with these days, especially you would think as a writer, it's about writing, right? And then you don't have to worry about this other stuff. But increasingly, we have to be online all the time and, promoting our books and doing research or whatever the case may be. They are so fun. See, and puzzles just kind of lately have just been getting us out of that cycle. And especially with the election so close. And I don't want to be online anymore.
No, I totally get it. So Donna wants to know, she says, I might have missed it, but how many books have you written?
Let's see. I have a 4-book Regency series called Once Upon a Scandal. And then I wrote 2 novellas that are part of, it's called The Daltons. And the first one is The Captain's Midwinter Bride, which is like a holiday Christmas novella. And then the follow-up is called Once Upon, oh God, what is my book called? On a Midsummer Night? I can't even remember what it's called. But it's a little novella. And then I have these 2 books in my 3-book series, the Luna Sisters. So the 3rd book, Gabby's book, will be out in the summer. So what is that for? So 7 books and 2 novellas.
Can you share the title of the next book?
I can. I actually have not announced it anywhere. So it'll be for your, I haven't announced it at all. So it is called Gabriella and His Grace.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, perfect.
Have we met His Grace in either the first we have?
Mm-hmm. So Whitfield, the Duke, who is he's the love interest.
I love him.
That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, these two, and they love to antagonize each other, and they get to do that more in the 3rd book. So yes, they will be out in August.
I was hoping that's where you were going.
And it's funny because when I was starting to write or plan out the series, I was like, well, Gideon, who's the hero or the male main character from Anna Maria and the Fox, I was like, well, I think he has a friend who's a Duke. And I didn't really give much thought of it aside from that. And then I started writing him and I was like, oh, okay. So you're obviously going to be like a love interest in a future book because you just know what that's like where you're like, oh, okay.
Right. They wink at you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
They wink at you.
Perfect. They do.
And for the contemporary ones that you're working on now, are they out next year or the year after? Or
I do not know yet. I am writing them, hoping to sell them. We will see. I don't know. Publishing's so scary.
It's funky. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish I could say they're historicals, but as we discussed, the historical market is, but it's been fun to try something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all done multiple things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But you know how it is.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Exactly. I'm trying. I'm trying my best.
Yeah,
Do you write every day?
For the most part, well, that's not true. I tend not to work on the weekends because I have the kids underfoot and it's hard. I used to when they were younger and they would actually take a nap. Or, if I'm on a deadline, you got to get in the words whenever you can. But now that all 3 of them are in school, I have more set, a structured writing time of when I try to do things. So I usually just write Monday through Friday and then give my 2 brain cells a break on the weekend.
I think that's really important. I've had to do that for myself too. I used to we're so focused on got to get it done, right. And I've had to stop and say, okay, the weekends, if I had a traditional job, I would get the weekend off. You get a couple days off. So I think it's important that as writers, we give ourselves that weekend time to be with our families.
Right. You can burn out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And like, for instance, I have copy edits for the third book due on Monday. So I am going to have to work some this weekend, but it's not all the time. And, I make it work. But I remember those early days when my kids were young, and I remember being up like in the middle of the night to pump, and also with my laptop, like, perched nearby, because those days you had to write whenever you could, and get in those words. I don't have to do that anymore, so I'm not going to. I'm going to be a little kinder to myself. It's funny. I try to stay up like late. Sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I'll like write this scene, and it's like after 9, and I'm sitting in bed like I used to back in the day to start writing. I make it like 15 minutes. My brain's like, this is sleep time.
That's off. Exactly. Exactly. So I think we have time for one last question. So Leisha asks, have you had to change a character's name because they didn't like it? They let you know somehow.
Oh, that's a really good question.
Sometimes the name feels wrong.
Yeah. I don't think I've had that issue yet. I have had the issue where I've given multiple side characters the same name, and I didn't even realize I did that until my editor's like, wait a second, I thought that this is so-and-so. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Like, what am I thinking? And it's especially embarrassing when I've like reread it. Like, it's not like I'm firing off like a unedited draft to my editor. Like, I've worked on it. Like, my brain just skims over it. I don't know. I've done it twice, and it was so embarrassing.
That's a different Tony. Yeah.
Exactly.
If it makes you feel better, I had a dog that I changed her name in the middle of the book. So in the beginning of the book, her name was Sadie. At the end, her name was Dixie. And I didn't catch it. I didn't know. Like, a reader told me afterwards.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, no one caught it.
No one got it. No.
And like, multiple people are reading our books, and for us all to, this, I can't blame it on anyone else but me. My brain just skipped right over how I had 2 Sophias in the book, but thankfully someone caught it. But yeah, thankfully I haven't had an issue where, a character's like, I'm really not a Gabby. I'm a, Gretchen. Thankfully everyone's worked out really well.
Well, it was lovely chatting with you today, and reading your this month in the group has just been a lot of fun, and we cannot wait for the next one. So we'll be announcing it in
his grace.
And
my animation.
What's your publication date yet?
August 26th.
Oh, very nice.
Okay,
August 26th.
My mom's birthday.
I found out I get to share the cover the very beginning of December, so I'm very excited.
Nice.
Oh, cool. All right, we'll be looking for it.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. See you later.
Thanks for chatting with me. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I love that book.
Okay. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. She's great. She's so easy to chat with. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
So do we have our book for next time? Okay. All right. Yeah. So our November read is a book I've already read and I loved, and I'm going to read it again because I'm so excited about it.
You told me to do this, and I can't do it.
Oh, I don't know if I have a copy up here.
Oh, that's it. No, but went away.
Okay. When We Were Widows by Annette Chavez Macias. So everyone, get your copy and join us because that is going to be so much fun. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Anyway.
No, that's okay. I thought I might have a copy, but I don't have one up there. But all right, everyone, have a great weekend. It's nice chatting with you all. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.